Hey guys, Ice King here from AdventureTimeCardWars.com. I'm here to talk about Immortal Maize Walker. Now, it seems that there's a lot of fuss going around with people complaining that it's too powerful. Well, I'm here to talk to you about how you can beat it and what cards exactly to use. Now, for those of you who don't know, Immortal Maize Walker is a 2-cost useless swamp creature with 2 attack and 8 defense. Now, that doesn't sound too powerful, but it's his effect that gets people angry. When Immortal Maize Walker is on a cornfield landscape, he does triple damage. That means he jumps from 2 attack to 6 attack on a cornfield landscape. Now, since his attack is tripled, that means that any modifiers that have been played on him, such as Brief Power, which adds +2 to a useless swamp creature for the turn, also gets tripled. So he goes from 4 attack to 12 attack, only when he's on a cornfield landscape. But still, 12 attack is almost half your opponent's health. So the basic way to win against an OTCG deck with Immortal Maize Walker is just to prevent him from attacking. Now, I know that sounds pretty obvious, but there are many ways you can pull this off that aren't so obvious. The first direct counter to Immortal Maize Walker is the pig. Now, with the pig, you simply just play him in the landscape that the Immortal Maize Walker is on, and floop him. Now the pig's ability is that when he's flooped, he flips a target cornfield landscape face down in the lane that he's in. Now this removes Maize Walker's effect, who needs to be on a cornfield landscape to deal triple damage. Since he's on a face down landscape, it doesn't count as a cornfield landscape anymore because it's face down, so it removes Maize Walker's ability. The next direct counter to Immortal Maize Walker is Sack of Pain. Sack of Pain has a unique ability where, when he has 6 damage on him, he gains 6 attack. This means, when he fights an Immortal Maize Walker with triple damage on its turn, he will deal 2 damage to Immortal Maize Walker, and Immortal Maize Walker will deal exactly 6 damage to Sack of Pain. That brings Sack of Pain's attack to 8 attack, meaning that in the next combat, he's guaranteed to kill Immortal Maize Walker, or any new Immortal Maize Walker that your opponent might play into this lane. The next counter to Immortal Maize Walker is Dr. Death, who is basically a counter to every single creature. You simply play him in the lane that Immortal Maize Walker is on, and you activate Dr. Death's ability, which you must first destroy a creature you control on your side of the field, and then floop Dr. Death, and then you get to destroy a creature in Dr. Death's lane, such as an Immortal Maize Walker. Now, other than Dr. Death, those were pretty direct counters. Now I'm going to mention counters that counter OTCG decks in general. Now, one of the basic counters to OTCG decks are cards that return monsters or cards back to the opponent's hand, like Legion of Earlings, where you just simply play it, and in the lane that it's in, you get to choose a creature and send it back to your opponent's hand, or to its owner's hand. Now, Sandyland's deck have a lot of returning to hand cards, so you can just look around there to find more. The next thing you do, like with Immortal Maize Walker, is prevent your opponent from attacking. Now, a creature called Cool Dog does something like this. When you play it, cards that are adjacent to it cannot be attacked by your opponent. Now, if you play 2 Cool Dogs, it has sort of a marauding captain effect from Yu-Gi-Oh!, in which all your lanes cannot be attacked by your opponent. Unfortunately, on your fight phase, Cool Dogs and your cards will be forced to attack. How you stop that is by using cards such as Schoolhouse placed under the lanes of your Cool Dogs, turning them into floop ability cards, in which your Cool Dogs will no longer have to attack on your turn, and your opponent can no longer attack on their turn. You can also use the Finn hero card, as long as your Cool Dogs are at full health, to floop them. Now, my personal favorite way to lock down a lane is with Cave of Solitude. Cave of Solitude is a pretty awesome card where you just discard a card and your opponent cannot attack the creature that's in the same lane as Cave of Solitude, and your creature cannot be targeted by effects, all just by discarding a card. Now, this does not stop your creature from being forced to attack on your fight phase. However, if you have a floop card such as the pig, you simply floop on your turn. It does not have to fight and pay the Cave of Solitude cost, and your opponent cannot attack it or target it with effects on your turn. Another thing you can do is steal an opponent's important creature, such as Immortal Maize Walker or Wardic Chief, or any other card that they really need, with cards such as Traveling Wizard and Spirit Tower. Now, Traveling Wizard's effect is when he enters the play, he and the opposing creature in the lane he's in switch sides. So, your opponent gets Traveling Wizard, and you get their signature card. Now, this strategy just destroys an OTCG deck because you steal them of cards they really need. Now, Spirit Tower is a little different. It's a building, and you play it in the lane, and when you do not have a creature in your lane, you can pay an action and floop, and then take their monster on your turn. However, you have to return this monster during your end turn. Now, there are bypasses to this. Let's say I were to steal my opponent's Immortal Maize Walker, then I can do anything I want with this Immortal Maize Walker. I can sacrifice it with Dr. Death's ability, or I could replace it to play my own creature in the same lane. Now this sends Immortal Maize Walker to the discard pile, and at the end turn, I cannot give Immortal Maize Walker back to my opponent because it's in the discard pile. Now, this and Traveling Wizard basically destroy an opponent's strategy because you get their monsters and then you can do whatever you want with them. Now, the final counter to an OTCG deck, such as Immortal Maize Walker or Wardic Chief, or any other deck in general, is Penta Cutie. Now, Penta Cutie has a very, very good ability in which your opponent cannot play zero-cost cards. It's a 2-cost monster with 3 and 8 defense, but that's not what really is good about it. It's its ability. This prevents your opponent from basically playing any of the useful rainbow cards, such as Brief Power, which is +2 to an Immortal Maize Walker, an Empty Coffin, which reduces the cost of your next creature by 2. That means that if I were to play an Empty Coffin and try to play Immortal Maize Walker, I would not be able to, because Immortal Maize Walker becomes a 0 cost since its action cost gets reduced by 2. But either way, I would still not be able to play an Empty Coffin because it is still a 0 cost card. Your opponent cannot play stuff that they need, like Musical Chair, to switch their landscapes into cornfields and then kill you with an Immortal Maize Walker, or teleport a creature to an open lane that they have and then attack you directly. Penta Cutie is one of the best counters to an OTCG deck because it completely removes 0 cost cards, forcing your opponent to use cards with action costs, severely limiting what they can do in a turn. Now, a bonus tip is that you can try dealing damage through card effects to your opponent's creatures that they need, slowly but surely destroying them. You can use hero cards such as Susan Strong, Huntress Wizard, Finn, Bimo, and Magic Man, who all have effects that deal damage to creatures. You can use these hero cards to basically weaken your opponent's monsters, and you either finish them off with other cards or by attacking them. Well, that's it for this video. I hope it helped. Just leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And if you think I missed anything or just want to recommend something for another video, just leave me a comment in the comment section below. And thanks for watching.